All whitey then. Sorry, I mean that was a unintended. All whitey then. We are going to be discussing Juneteenth. And I'm apologizing in advance. Okay, I'm going to apologize now for the heated way I might behave with this particular topic because it is an angering one to me. Call me racist all you want, but it is. So we'll be back with the discussion about this whole Juneteenth thing. All right, we'll see you guys in just a little bit. Welcome, 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 welcome. Juneteenth. All right. So disclaimers first. Um, for me, I'm not speaking for the rest of the panel. Um, the concept behind Juneteenth, and I'll break this out later once we get along, but is a squeaky wheel concept to me. I think that's the best way to. It's a squeaky wheel idea, and it's pointless, and it doesn't really reflect the truth of anything to do with emancipation at all. So, with that, I'll show you in video format the two types of people that really love Juneteenth. So who's got the messenger video? I'll show you the people that really love Juneteenth. Okay, there are two types.
Let's get it on. Let's see if it pulls.
One person in particular really is taking credit for even getting it.
Let me make sure. Let me make sure it's the right video. Is it the one with the
painted face?
Okay,
yes.
I got the right one then. All right. Hold on now. Hold on.
It's worth it, guys. Just be patient.
Oh shoot!
Come on, man.
Come
on, man.
I don't know why he did that.
Come true, bro.
Come on, Grandpa.
No, I don't know why he did that because
Biden said y'all don't know how to use computers. You're making it true. Come on now.
Well, I'm trying. Hold on. Because I don't have a fancy. I just got this little Mac.
Do you have? I got that. Do you have what you call it in your repertoire there?
Here, I'll get it. I'll get it. It's fine.
Yeah,
you got it. Yeah, I had it, but I had to push a lot more buttons.
Yeah, more than buttons. Yeah, too many buttons.
There it is.
He's in blackface.
Those are one of the people types that approve of Juneteenth. The other person that is taking credit for Juneteenth being passed under his watch. Now, the following is not me saying anything, not any of us saying anything. It's the current potato in chief himself speaking about the African American in America. Okay? I want people to be sure of that. Here we go. Expand that to full screen. Would you mind?
Yeah.
And moved into.
Of course, it won't actually let me do it properly. Jesus.
There we go. There we go.
Make sure you can hear it too.
Oh, God.
C-SPAN doesn't like technology.
An emerging consensus. And the consensus is as follows, and I will cease when I finish this statement. The consensus is A, we must take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. That's number one.
Okay.
It looks different.
Yeah. They must be taken off the street. Okay. They got to be taken
off the street.
Off the street.
Wait, but Marlon, who is they?
You know,
Who's they,
Negroes.
though?
Negroes got to be taken off.
He
Yeah.
was talking about black
The racial
people.
jungle that he
Yes.
Okay.
I don't want
The
my kids
Juneteenth
growing
people.
up in a racial jungle.
I'm tracking. The Juneteenth.
Juneteenth people.
Yeah, that's what he said about y'all.
Yeah, so that was right before they passed the 1994 crime bill that locked up the majority of male African American men. And he's also the guy that put in the federal holiday for Juneteenth. So he also is responsible for destroying the black family and giving you a holiday. So congratulations, black people.
He has a
You
spectrum
won.
idea.
You got it. You got what you wanted.
But guys, people change.
No, they don't.
That's what they say.
People change all the time.
People
Okay.
change their ways.
They change. Let's. Okay, I will agree. They change.
He just forgot he was racist.
Okay, so not even a year ago. Not even a year ago. I know it's not even been a year. He was standing in front of an audience member, and these two guys introduced themselves, and he said one of them still looks like he could play ball, and the other two look like they'll blow you up. Now, if he is a changed human being, he doesn't know how to show it. So back to my topic about why I think there's a problem with Juneteenth. 2 years before this whole concept of Juneteenth showed up, Black Americans were indeed set free. Texas had a section of people that didn't get the memo or were not given the rights to, because the people in charge of them, whether you like it or not, they were, decided not to follow through. Now, and I'll give you my spiel, and the rest of the guys can give you after. This whole concept of ain't nobody free till we all free is absolute BS. Okay? If you want to tell me for the few that were in Texas, they have a holiday, good, them. But to tell me that black people were not free until Juneteenth and to celebrate it as though all black people got freed on Juneteenth is BS.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the number they said was about 230,000. I don't even believe that number because the population at the time was about 609,000 throughout Texas.
Yeah.
So you're trying to tell me that 230,000 black people. Okay, anyway, whatever. I mean, you can tell me whatever number you want. I looked at and I downloaded, and I still am pouring through it. The what do you call it? The census at the time. And I have a PDF of the handwritten census, not the Google census. I downloaded the actual written and then typed out one on typewriter, not computer, census list. So I'm still pouring through that. This whole concept of, everybody needs to understand that we were not free until, no, there were tons of people free long before that and were thriving after emancipation was done. The few that were not in Texas do not, and I repeat, do not speak for the rest of them that were free. If you want to have this idea and log it in history that on that date, the remainder were free, perfect. But don't come to me and try and tell me that this is some kind of a black holiday. That it's not a black holiday. It's a holiday for a few that were free. And if you can trace yourself back to that, feel free. But if you're going to try and tell me that I shouldn't be happy that the Emancipation Proclamation was signed before that, and that slaves were free before that, and it's not really valid until everybody's free, that is complete crap. And it explains a whole lot about why society is the way it is today. We all oppressed. No, we're not. Well, you can't be saying you're not oppressed when some of us are oppressed. You are oppressed. If you want to view yourself that way, don't clash me with that.
Yep.
I must have the lowest common denominator as my identifier. No, fam. No. That's what Juneteenth prides on. It prides on the fact that you can take the lowest common denominator and make it about everybody. And that's BS to me. I said my spiel.
You know, and another thing, going back to your point. So do you think those free slaves that were freed for 2 years in other parts of the country knew that the slaves in Galveston, Texas weren't freed yet?
No.
They probably had no freaking idea. They were enjoying life. They had no idea that that part of Texas still didn't free the slaves. So, and that's the way I see the world. I see it as, I don't call myself oppressed because something happened to some black dude in Washington State. That doesn't affect my life. And that's the same way they were living. Correct? That's the same way they were living. They were just living their
yeah.
lives because it wasn't affecting them at the time. Then here comes big government. We're going to change history up. We're going to tell these people that history or slavery ended on this day. They're not going to look it up. They're not smart enough. They're only this portion of a human. They're too dumb to look it up for themselves. So they're just going to believe it. And here we are today. Slavery ended, like Marlon said, 2 years prior to Juneteenth.
June 19th.
Okay, June 19th. So, 2 years prior to June 19th. 2 years. People were free. People were thriving. People had homes. People were living. Were there still issues? Racial issues and racial tensions? Of course. There's still issues today. You're never going to end that in any country. And that's one of the reasons why I don't celebrate it.
Well, here's another question is, which date would actually be considered the end of slavery, right? Because according to this, Juneteenth is the end, right? Because it was the last bastion of slaveholders or whatever. But it's not actually true, by the way, because we still haven't talked about the Indian situation.
Yeah,
in the
they don't count. They're not
where they were
black.
keeping slaves.
Can't talk about that.
So if we're all like you were saying, if we're all in it together, right, and not everybody was free at the time, then Juneteenth doesn't even make sense, because when the last natives let go of their black slaves, that would technically be the actual end of slavery in America, right?
Right?
Shit. So if we're looking at the dates, then would it be the end of the Civil War, which is April 9th in 1865, or we're talking about the Emancipation Proclamation, which is January 1st, 1863. Right.
It should be. So, and you're right, Coy. That was great points right there. Look at whenever the president signs something, even in today, right? So the president will be like, I'm going to sign an executive order saying you can no longer fart in public. The day he signs it usually is what? It's the day
that it officially is ended.
It's officially, it's official. So the day the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, freed slaves, is the day slaves were free on paper.
Here's an interesting thing about that. Did you know the Emancipation Proclamation only counted towards the states that they were at war with, right? The southern states. That was so technically, even though it wasn't legal in the North to own slaves, you could still kind of have them, because it was only meant for the people they were at war with. Right, so they were trying to say, "Hey, you're free. You can come up here and do that thing and you can immigrate." But it wasn't actually for the entire United States. It was only the states that we were at war with.
That's a good point.
So it's kind of like one of those. So we're not free, or are we free? It's like, well, technically.
Okay.
Technically,
I'm gonna throw a wrench in your. Cog in your no, I'm throwing a wrench in your cog here. You ready? Is freedom a viewpoint? Or do I need to have it on paper for me to be free?
No, it's an inalienable right that's given to you by your creator.
So
freedom is something that you
with that being said, even if the government didn't give me freedom, if I viewed myself as free, whether I lived or died, I was free.
That's right.
And today, when we try to tell people that you're free, you're not free because the system has got you. You see how now? This reason I'm talking about it is like this. Today, you don't have Juneteenth was established, right? So everyone's free. That was the plan, right?
Yes.
2 years later, they weren't be free, but now they are. Everyone's free. So you're celebrating freedom. I just want to make sure I get that portion set. You are celebrating freedom. In the same breath, you're trying to tell me that we're not free. So which is it? Does Juneteenth have value or does it not? And if it doesn't, then why are you celebrating it if you're not free? If you're still under systematic racism and systematic oppression, how are you free? And if you're not free, then why are you celebrating Juneteenth like it's a freedom thing? Or are you free because you're celebrating Juneteenth? Which one is it? Pick one. Because I got to know. I really want to know. Are we free or not?
Yeah, I'm confused too. I mean, I'm sitting up here. I'm confused. Are we?
Well, this This is very.
No,
This is very
a good
Uncle
point.
Tom
Like,
of you.
But and it's no different than
Like,
you would say like
literally speaking.
you know, think about Black History Month, right? We're always told that they stole our history, they erased our history, and they did all this. But why do we have a whole month to celebrate our history? It's either erased, and there's no Black history, or do we have history? Which one is it? Like, seriously, which one is it? Did they steal it all? Did we lose our history? Or if we lost it, there should be no celebration, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're giving us this stuff as like little kibbles and bits. Like, hey, okay, how can we keep these Black folk calm? Like, give them a holiday. They're gonna celebrate it anyway. You know what I mean? Then every time these holidays come around, think about it. Juneteenth, what do we revert back to? Slavery, bad times. Black history, what do we always revert back to? Slavery, bad times. We're always talking about the bad stuff. We never talk about the good stuff. Slavery was horrible, but let's talk about the family structure that happened. It was a horrible thing. No one should be enslaved. But think about them people in our viewpoint, what was happening to them. Yes, from us on the outside looking in, that was total misery. But we don't know the mindset of the people. Like Marlon said, in their mind, they was free. You know what I mean? So we can't always keep reverting back to slavery every time it comes up Juneteenth. Oh, let's talk about slaves and whips and chains. You know, Black history. Let's talk about whips and chains and show slave movies and watch Roots and all this other stuff. And then Black people, man, it puts us in a depressive state.
You know, here's a crazy thing. Let's look at, and this is not a white or black thing. Let's look at American history, okay?
Yep.
And you have then a celebration of July 4th. Let's look at July 4th. Okay, independence. We do not celebrate on Independence Day the war. We don't celebrate on Independence Day any treaties we had before. We don't celebrate on Independence Day the deaths of people. We leave that for another time, right? We don't celebrate on Independence Day the history we had with England. We celebrate America and the new version that it is. For some stupid, unbeknownst, ridiculous, idiotic reason, we celebrate Black History Month with death, and we celebrate Juneteenth with death. The same way we celebrate it with our music, death. But it's a problem for people to point that out. Everything that you talk about, and I'm going to try and separate myself from it because they kicked me out anyway. Everything you celebrate seems to revolve around depressive, dark themes. Nothing about, like, you don't even celebrate kids graduating from college, for crying out loud, but you celebrate Pookie coming home from jail. I want you to try and I just want you to make it make sense.
And we were talking about this backstage. You know, Juneteenth, and it's supposed to be like this holiday where people are celebrating, you know, the freed slaves. But then there was a shooting in Illinois where a bunch of Black people got shot up celebrating
Juneteenth.
You see what I mean? How it makes no sense. You're celebrating something that was depressive while out here killing your own people. And I'm not saying every Black folk. Never get us wrong. We're not talking everyone. We never talk everyone. We're talking certain individuals who get the most freaking airtime.
That's what it is. Airtime.
I'm just saying.
Let's think of it this way. Like, I'm going to try to play devil's advocate here and try to advocate for the holiday. Let's do it like this. What is the meaning of the holiday then? Juneteenth. What is it? Right? It's the idea that America fought for something that was morally just and freed themselves of a moral evil, right? That's just something we should celebrate, is that America finally made good on a promise that all men are created equal. If we make it about the nation, the state, it's like we should be celebrating Juneteenth as a way of saying America hasn't always been good, but we try to live up to our ideals that the Constitution is, right? It should be a national holiday in that regard, is that we should think of it as an idea of living up to the Constitution, that all men are created equal, and that we should live up to that ideals, that we are all people with inalienable rights. Like I said, the rights of people to be free and to live the way that they want to live. If you make it about that, then that makes more sense than something super depressive and about slavery and about bitching and moaning. And it should be about America is good and it can live up to the values that it set forth, but we have to be together on it to make that happen, right? And that we should celebrate the lives that were given, mind you, given to free those people as well. So let's link it to that.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Great point. Great.
So I have a question. And this is a statement that I'm going to make about war. And not just war, but let's go to more of the premise of it. The one that wins is the one that has the upper hand, or that sometimes gets lucky. Okay. So let's look at three different things. The reason Africans are here, and the war between the Americans or the white people that showed up here and the Indians here. Okay. Just hear me out, please. In Africa, slavery is still going on, and it's majority black. Before the white man showed up, American Indians had each other as slaves, killed each other, decapitated each other, killed families, killed kids, burned villages down to the ground. The same thing that we would consider white people as savages for, they were doing here. The same thing they were doing in Africa. What I detest is when people try to tell me that white people are the worst thing since buttered bread on the floor, butter side down. If you want to call them a race, every one of them have atrocities in their history. Every last one of them. Yep. And I mean all of them. Whether you got a dot in your head, a feather in your cap, a loin on your waist, or a musket in your hand, all of you had a ridiculous, violent, vile history with each other. Mm-hmm. So now you're getting mad at one particular one race that came out on top. But you call yourself really strong, but you can't surpass them. And you're expecting them to give you some sort of a leeway or some sort of a pass. Mm-hmm. Okay? You scalped each other, you speared each other, and you shot each other. Every country, every race, every creed has been violent with not just each other, but with other nations.
Yep.
To try and pawn this off as just one race doing all the evil thing is absolute BS, and you know it. In Africa, because if it was, and the white people are to blame, then with the last 500, 600 years of Africa being only owned by black people, y'all should have solved the problem of violence, right? Because y'all would never do this to each other. Explain Idi Amin to me then. Just explain Idi Amin. That's all I want you to do. Explain that. But you
Rwanda.
Can't. Explain that to me.
Yeah. Rwanda. Explain that.
The problem with all of this idea of Juneteenth and black celebration and white celebration and Indian celebration and all this crap is that you're putting it as though you were the race itself was such an oppressed and marginalized thing because of a certain race that if you were just left alone, you would thrive beyond recognition. But you didn't, though. And you still don't. Africa is majority black. Majority black. Led by black people. And it is one of the most violent places on earth. Okay? All right. So don't hand me this nonsense about white people are the problem. And that's why we need Juneteenth. You don't. You are the one reason. Okay, so you say you have Juneteenth and you have Black History. Now you got two, right? You got pretty much two things in your favor. If the places are red, I don't know why you got two things, but you got two. You got Black History Month, and all you can talk about is how you were beaten up, but you can't talk about how you were freed. Then you got Juneteenth, and all you can talk about how you were late to the party, and you still harp on the fact that you weren't told, and you still go back to the Black History Month of slavery. You can't talk about the fact that there are multiple black people that went out, used that freedom to move forward. You don't talk about them. You never mention them in any of your stories, any of your songs.
Mm-hmm.
You said your history was taken, and yet your culture was taken. Yet still, you say now they're stealing black culture. No, so now you have a culture still. So which is it? This is the problem that I have, and this is why they don't like me. And I don't mind people not liking me, white and black. I just like to see consistency for a change. I would just like to see consistency. Either you have something or you don't. Either you can still reclaim it or you can't. But the problem is you don't want to. Because your history, this is what's your history. Listen carefully. You were taken from Africa. And you loved your family so much that you were willing to die with your children than be slaves. And your mothers and your fathers would willingly throw themselves off the boat to avoid, absolutely avoid, being slaves. Today, however, you willingly watch your children kill each other and say nothing. So who's really the one giving up their history? White people or you?
Mm.
Are white people really taking it from you, or are you willingly giving it up? Where are the fathers and mothers that are willing to die for their children? Where are the husbands willing to die for their wives? Where are the wives willing to die for their husbands in your community? Where are they? I don't see them. The slaves did it. The Africans that came over here did it. Where are you? There are multiple times you've read of stories of black men that watched their families die in front of them and wiped out the entire plantation before they died. They were not willing to be slaves. But today, somehow you wipe out your entire plantation and didn't kill a single white person. I just wanted to make sense. That's all.
Yeah, you're right. And, you know, back to the historical part of it, it's like when you said we only go back, we only revert back to like the woe is me part of it. But we don't talk about all the people during slavery time that tried to escape, that died trying to escape, that killed, that fought a whole plantation, that killed slave masters, that rescued people. And the only one we ever bring up is Harriet Tubman. But they don't talk about the fact that Harriet Tubman would have killed most of y'all, would have killed you because you don't want to leave the plantation. You like the bells and whistles and the treats that they give you. You can talk about the master at the plantation, but you damn sure don't want to leave it. That's why they don't like guys like Marlon and I, because we refuse to buy into that mindset. The woe is me. I'm black. I'm oppressed. Oh, feel sorry for me. Oh, man, my people that I don't even know, that I ain't never met because I don't even know my own genealogy. I feel bad for them. No, I don't buy into that. You know, but a lot of us do.
It's weird.
They'll celebrate Juneteenth today, be out tomorrow, shooting up another neighborhood. Some of them. Just saying.
What's weird because it's the notion that not all. I mean, I heard it said that it's not all skin folk or kinfolk or something to that rather. And it's just like finding unity in or finding common ground in is one thing in terms of like, you know, black people find common ground because of their phenotype. Asians find common ground because, you know, we're Asians. But it's like, it's odd that when we find ourselves on differing terms ideologically, that's when you guys get called, you know, the C word, the Uncle Toms, the what is it? To the women, they're called bedwenches and stuff like that, just because they don't agree with the popularized, you know, way of thinking.
Bedwench is super offensive compared to like saying like coon or something like that, or Uncle Tom, dude. Come on, like that's totally worse. But I was horrible. To jump more onto that point, it's like here's another thing that nobody ever talks about is all the white lives that were given to free the slaves as well. How about the white abolitionists, right? Or any of the religious folk that knew it was morally wrong and stood up even though they were going against the majority of the country of the time to save those they knew needed to be saved. But they don't talk about those. It's like all white people are bad. All white people are racist, right? So F'd all those lives that went to save you and your ancestors, right? That helped you to get out, and those that were freed in the Underground Railroad. Because it wasn't all black folk that were in the Underground Railroad. It was white folk helping, getting you to Canada, getting your ancestors to Canada.
That's the truth.
And those that were on the front lines giving their lives during the Civil War to make the country whole again and to make you free, right?
Mhm.
It's like it's really upsetting because like the amount of blood that was spilled in that war is astronomical in terms of the history of the United States, right? And it was brother killing brother. Like the amount of things that happened in that war is crazy, right? And so there was a lot of people that gave up their lives, and to not acknowledge that fact is upsetting, to say the least, and ungrateful at the worst. You know?
Yep.
And to go back to the historical period, I'm going to pick on Jay real quick. Did you know Korea has the longest unbroken slavery in existence out of any country?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, totally.
So, like,
But-
you pick a country, we can tell you exactly when slavery was and how long it went for, right? Because it was a universal thing that has been around since the beginning of man.
Mm-hmm.
It has never changed. We have parts of in the Quran and the Bible and pick any religion, you'll see etiquette on how to take care of your slaves, right? Like, it is a institution that has been around in humanity for a long time. Same thing with barbarism and any sort of war. War is something that is neatly ingrained in humans in tribal warfare. Right. If we want to talk about the Americas before Europeans got here, the Mayans were kidnapping and torturing and sacrificing men, women, and children to their gods from other and taking people from other tribes and taking them either as slaves or sacrifices. Right. So it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows here in the Americas before the Europeans got here, just like it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows before the Europeans made it to Asia or India. Right. Before they even showed up in any part of the world, they were decimating themselves before they went outward. Same thing with any portion of the world is one tribe will attack another tribe because that's what we do. You can even see it in chimps, man. Our closest living relatives, as they say, right? They have tribal warfare in the exact same way. If you get caught up by a troop of chimps and you're not part of that tribe, you're getting beat to death. You were done, son. And it's the same thing. We do exactly the same thing. We like to think we're not animals. We're animals just the same.
And we're going to continue to be like that. And this is why, you know, one of the main reasons I don't celebrate a lot of holidays. This isn't just one of them. You know, there's many holidays I don't recognize, I don't celebrate. And, you know, one of the main reasons I think a lot of these racial driven holidays drives a wedge more through us than we would like to say. You know, you got people out there celebrating Irish or whatever. What's that day? St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day.
And then if you're not celebrating it right, somebody has something to say, you know, so it doesn't matter if you're not celebrating Black history, if you're not selling Cinco de Mayo correctly. And it's just all these holidays that are just created to give one race of people or one person that's a race that's existing on this earth, in America, a day for what? For what? Every day you're living in this country, you're free. You know you're free. Why do you need one day to recognize that? You should recognize it every single day you get up and put your pants on and go to work. I just don't agree with it. I do not celebrate it. I don't agree with it.
Right. And it's weird because it's like there are certain things that are put in place that nobody really asked for. Like, for instance, that anti-Asian hate bill that was passed like a year or so back. No Asian asked for that. And it has nothing to do with stopping Asian hate either. It was just another pork bill.
I'm glad it stopped people getting punched in the face. That bill did amazing things, all right? It just magically put a shield in front of all the Asians
right?
So they can't get punched in the face anymore. It was a magical bill. Sorry.
All just because we might have possibly had a wet market that spread a disease worldwide. You know, it's just like...
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole bunch of bills that were passed. Remember the anti-lynching bill that came out that they passed? And what was the purpose of that? Like, what was the purpose of it? Because isn't lynching like murder? It's illegal already, right?
Yeah.
You know, so you know why they did that, right? We know why they did that. It's to poke at the freaking emotions of the Black people to make us feel good. Here's the shiny object. We're going to pass an anti-lynching bill. I don't know one Black person that's been lynched since I've been on this earth for 40-something years. Do you, Marlon? You know any Black people that have been lynched? No. So what was the purpose of the bill?
Oh, I do.
Personally.
Oh, yeah, totally. This is personal.
Okay.
Yeah, for real. Michael Brown was lynched. Freddie Gray was lynched. I'm just telling people what people told me. Any other
I
black person you know that got killed by cops, they got lynched.
I could say yes, there is. I mean, technically, you can get yourself a hate crime if a black dude hangs himself, I guess.
Yeah, that you see, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all these bills are nothing more than pandering. You remember like Juneteenth a couple years ago when Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and all of them were in this rotunda, and they had like this African
Wakanda forever
thing scarf on, and they were taking knees and stuff. And the normal black, I'm not going to say the normal black person, the free thinking one, the one that looks at the world like, what the hell are these people doing? We were looking at them like they were straight fools. They were idiots. And then you had the other black folk out there. Oh my God, look at them. They love us so much. They don't love you. They are pandering to you.
You ready for some numbers?
Your vote? Go ahead, Marv.
Numbers.
Go ahead. I'm just saying.
This is for Jay Lee, especially. Okay. After the passing of the so-called bill for the anti-Asian hate, the number went from 279 reported crimes against Asians to 746 the following year.
I believe it, dude. I believe it.
I'm going to repeat that number again, real quick. After the passing of the bill to eliminate Asian hate crimes against Asian people, 279 to 746.
Dang, near nearly doubled.
Yeah, that's funny. So the intention was to put a shield in front of Asians so they won't get punched anymore. And the same thing with the anti-lynching bill, right? So anytime like a black dude tries to commit suicide, it just magically blocks it from happening, right? It just like he just hangs there. And he's like, what the fuck, you know? That's what it is. Sorry, a stupid joke, but I thought it was funny.
There we go.
Find that.
Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, boss man, just they look
like the scarf there.
Yeah. Look,
I know, right?
Look.
Oh, my knees.
This is professional pandering.
Look, she ain't even
Who are they praying to?
I don't know. They don't even know. They just doing it. Okay, is it time to get up yet? Is it time?
Oh, my knees. My knees.
My knees hurt. Okay, hurry up, man. I'm tired. Look at him. He had to look over and make sure, like, look.
When do we get up?
Photo op.
I love
photo op.
Look. I mean, Nessie.
Oh, that pandering. What are they wearing? What are they wearing?
That's brilliant.
What tribe is
the Shiki?
That
what
was
tribe
that
are
was
those
actually
colors from?
that was actually the tribe that was responsible for actually
Slavery,
enslaving people. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
So why would they
wear
the colors of the tribe that actually was involved in enslaving people?
Because they're Democrats and they're dumb.
But didn't that tribe, one of their leaders, come out recently and apologize to the
something like that?
Yeah, he did come out and
I think it's the same tribe that goes with the Woman King.
Yes.
One of those. Oh,
Yeah.
Why would they wear those colors then? They see?
Because they're dumb. They're
They
professional
don't know any
panders.
better, and here we are. Oh, look at them! They're wearing African colors, and they're wearing the color of the tribe that freaking enslaved black people.
You know why
Jesus
Nancy
Christ.
Pelosi had so much trouble getting up? Because she's too top
decrepit
heavy.
and old.
She's a witch.
No, she's too top heavy. You've seen the bikini picture. You know what I'm talking
It doesn't
about.
have a
Oh,
brand
yeah.
to be top heavy.
But back to we were talking about early, Marlon, right? About when did Joe Biden make this a federal holiday?
His first term, his first year. That was he passed that.
Oh yeah,
first year.
Oh yeah.
I
Well,
said that anti-lynching.
Here's a problem, right? This is why I think this is the problem that you're going to encounter. People will start changing, just like they changed the whole meaning of the word racism. And they changed a whole bunch of meaning. You can't describe what a man is. You can't describe what a woman is. You don't even know what racism is anymore. They changed the concept of lynching to incorporate anything they deem as a white person doing something ill to a black person. And they can phrase it and frame it as a lynching. They did with Ahmaud Arbery. Okay? They said that the white man lynched him. If you're going to stretch truth into whatever you want it to be as a lie, then there's no reason to frame anything anymore.
Yep.
The laws aren't going to apply to anything. Like the stupid statement that Biden made, all right, about how back in Philadelphia you could roll up in a truck and sell guns from the back of the truck, and now you can't do that. What stupidity! Like, this is how they will put this stuff into you, as obviously dumb as it is. And because they've done such a good job since Bush Jr. of dumbing down society in the schools, the No Child Left Behind crap, because more children are more stupid today than have ever been in history, they'll buy this stuff.
Yep.
Now, I don't blame Democrats for America being dumb. I blame both sides. Both Democrat presidents and Republican presidents are responsible for the stupidity of America right now, where you don't even have, not even 3/4 of the population in the youth today can tell you anything about American history.
Nope.
Because they're too stupid to know it. They're more interested in their TikTok videos and dancing in the street and sex than they are in actual human interaction. They don't even know how to interact with people anymore. So I can't blame
They don't even
anything.
know how to cook.
They can't even do that. They can't even boil water.
This generation is doomed.
It's just silly.
Like,
Wait. Isn't this the guy that made Juneteenth a federal holiday? And that's Robert Byrd. Look.
Why did I almost say Larry Bird? That's terrible. I'm sorry.
That's Robert Byrd, but that's the guy.
The only good white NBA player. Sorry.
If he's so against racism, why would he even be holding hands with a flat out KKK, Grand Dragon, whatever the hell he was?
Grand Wizard.
You are who you hang out with sometimes. That's what they say, right? Birds of a feather.
Guilty by
together.
association. That's usually how it goes, right?
It's just silly to me. And this is why I can't get behind the whole concept. Okay, now, if you tell me, this is the only way I would accept anything to do with Juneteenth, okay? If you mark it as a day that one particular group of people finally got the memo and they all would be able to participate in the freedoms that everyone else was finding, I could get behind that.
Yes.
But if you're celebrating Juneteenth to tell me, oh, they only found out then and they were so oppressed until that point, and I'm so glad that they're no longer, but there are. Just remember that it took them that long to find out. That's what you're celebrating. I don't want no part of it. If you're going to be saying to me two things that are completely opposite and want me to believe that they're both true, one of two things have to be true. I have to be brain dead, or you have to be brain dead. I know me. I'm not brain dead. You can't tell me in one breath that you have no rights, you have no freedom, and you have nothing, but at the same time, you celebrate a holiday that celebrates the fact that you got freedom, you got rights, and you got the ability to get anything. You got to pick one. I'm serious. You got to decide right now. Either you were freed, or you were freed into slavery. Pick one.
Everybody is free to be dumb. You can be stupid
that's
if you want
true.
to. That's the
Okay.
freedom that is being given
there's
to
that.
you by
So
your
they
creator.
move
You can
from
be
physical
stupid.
freedom to slavery. They move from physical slavery into stupidity.
Yeah, it's mental
got it.
slavery.
It's
And
transition.
we've talked about this before. We've talked about it's a slave mindset. And this, you got to thank Willie Lynch for this. Willie Lynch started all this, getting into the psyche of the black folk to make them mental slaves, because he knew that slavery wasn't going to last forever. So you have to break them down mentally to make them think they're still enslaved. And so they're going to continue to keep throwing out these shiny objects, man. We keep telling you guys, and we're not Republicans. I'm not a Republican. I'm not even trying to promote the Republican Party. I'm a free thinking
trash
American.
anyway.
Yeah. Parties are trash, regardless. But
Political parties should be
the
banned in the United
Democratic
States, period.
Party has and always will be the party of division, the party of slavery, the party of racism, the party of Jim Crow, the party of the KKK, the party of segregation, and all those things. The list keeps going on, and people are like, oh, the party switch. And I'm not trying to go into a party switch thing, but what I'm saying is, even if the parties did switch, what party started all that? I don't give a damn who. I don't give a dang if they switch. They still started it. It's still the responsibility. If you're going to sit up here and tell me with your whole chest that you still blame the descendants of slave owners for the things their ancestors did, you need to be blaming the Democratic Party for the things they did to black people. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
You can't sit up here and talk to Steve, who don't know nothing about slavery. His dad don't know nothing. His grandpa don't know nothing. His great grandpa don't know nothing, but it's his fault. But yet the Democratic Party, here you are, and they're the party who started it all.
On the teat of the Dems.
I'm just saying.
You know what's funny about that whole thing is for having lost the war to keep their land and their slaves, they ended up still being in charge anyway.
Of them anyway.
Ridiculous.
Oh my gosh!
give them
Gotta give them props. They lost the war, but they still made it work somehow. I don't know.
They've outsourced their slave owning.
There you go. They got
exactly.
the slaves to keep themselves in slavery. They upgraded their methods. Many of you know Bob Marley. Okay. And he had a song called Redemption Song. And one of the most profound lines in that song that I think many just kind of gloss over, including the Black Americans and blacks everywhere, it seems, they gloss over this line. Now, I don't agree with everything Bob Marley said, but this particular thing really hits, especially now. Emancipate yourselves from what? Mental slavery, because none but ourselves can free our minds. The problem with people in general, that goes for liberal whites, liberal blacks, woke Negroes, woke whites, dumb people in general. They are captive to their own silly, nonsensical thoughts, and they have no desire to be freed from it. The majority of people that hold dear all of the atrocities of history are hell-bound by their own stupidity, which is why you cannot reason with them with logic. You cannot reason them with history. You cannot reason them with them even with right now proof. You can't reason with them because where they're locked, there is no breaking free because they hold a key. They built the wall, they built the cage, and they swallowed the key. They have no desire to be free. They love where they are, and it makes no sense to speak to them because they have no desire to learn. And so if you know somebody like that, my advice to you, be done. Don't even entertain them. Let them be. Because in the long run, you're only going to frustrate yourself and you'll get nowhere. Let them go. Let them do what they got to do. When they run into the wall and bash their heads enough, maybe one day they'll just pass out and you won't have to deal with them again. It's my advice.
But at the end of the day, it's still going to be a holiday regardless of what we want is now in the federal system.
It's in the system.
It's in the system. So I think we should take the initiative in making the holiday what it should be about, is the promise of a better America. That, in my mind, that's what Juneteenth should be about, right? And so living up to the Constitution that all men are created equal. That's what Juneteenth should be about, is that we should be one people. We shouldn't be these divided groups of Black Americans, white Americans, Asian Americans, any of those. One American, one America. That's what Juneteenth should be about, right? Is bringing the promise of freedom that was long taken from people and now should be about that, right? I could say it better, but I'm working on it as I go.
One last thing. If racism is a social construct, and we on the right have been trying to get rid of racism by telling you stop talking about it and leave it alone and make the new construct no race, why won't you just join us? If it's a social construct and you need the whole of society to get rid of it, and we're telling you, okay, cool, let's get rid of it. No more races. Everybody the same. What we went through, no, you said you want it completely gone. Racism gone? Good. Let's get rid of every race. And we have no longer call you black, you white, you Asian. It's just human. If that's what we propose, you're going to say no because now you're forgetting the atrocities that your race did. But you're the one that's saying it's a social construct. Make up your mind.
And the only difference between myself and these three guys, these three humans up here, is I eat with sticks and they eat with forks. That's the only difference.
But you know,
I'll eat with sticks too. I mean, that's easier sometimes.
We're one of the only few countries that do that term, put a hyphenated whatever. You know, you go. I've been to Europe. I've been all over the country or other countries, and you can see a German guy that looks like me. They don't go black German.
No,
you know what I mean? They don't. They're not. Oh, that's an African German or that. They don't say that they're just German. They're just this. They're just that. But Americans, we want to hold on to some identity so bad You know, so bad. I don't need to tell people I'm black. I don't need to say I'm proud to be black. People look at me, they can see how I carry myself and tell I'm a proud man. They can look at me and tell what color I am. You know what I mean? But we need all these terms and all this stuff, and it's going to keep dividing us. I'm telling you, if we just get rid of it, we don't need a census. We don't have to put color on a census. It's just citizen or non-citizen. That's it. That's all we need. You don't need to know the demographics for voting. That's your problem, politicians. That's not our problem. If you don't know the demographics, that's your fault for not getting out in your community.
Does it even matter though? Like,
it doesn't matter at all. Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
I don't like you or I like you. So I'll vote for you or don't vote for you. That's all you need to know.
You got to think of like requiring demographics is probably one of the most racist things you could possibly do. If you really think about it, it's like, why do you need to know what your makeup of your country is demographically wise if you're supposed to be for all people? It doesn't matter what color they are.
And how does my skin color affect my thinking? Like, why should my skin color
or your voting for that matter?
That's so stupid.
Well, don't you carry hot sauce and domino? Don't you play dominoes and carry hot sauce in your purse?
I carry.
Or do you not tell what Gatorade is in the fridge by the color? Or not.
It's not even that. Exactly. It's just I was bringing up the pandering. I mean, wait till we start getting up to these elections. You are going to see some pandering.
The problem is that's culture, Coy. That's not color. That's culture.
We eat chicken. Joe Biden, what's your favorite chicken place? Well, you know I like Popeyes.
Look, I grew up with some Asians and some Syrians, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And in the Caribbean. And they were more Caribbean than me. Because they like their heat in their food. I was not one of those people.
Spicy.
Okay, they were salt of the earth Caribbean people through and through, and you couldn't look at them and tell them they weren't because you gonna get smacked down. There was
people who enjoy like super spicy fries.
We were a melting pot. Trinidad was known as the melting pot, and there wasn't a whole lot of. I mean, it's for some areas there were that the Indians didn't get along with the black people and the Syrians didn't get along with the Asian people. There were some sectors of that, but for the majority of it, you were either from Trinidad or you weren't. That was the statement. You from Trinidad? Okay, your culture is what? From Trinidad. Perfect. We don't even care after that point. Whatever. We have reggae artists right now who are like white as day, and they're good. Okay, but all they're known as Jamaicans. That's it. You're just Jamaican.
You see that white Jamaican dude that gets in trouble on TikTok all the time?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, I know. I've seen that. Yeah, talk to him all the time. Cool guy. Yeah.
He's cool, but he's like, this is how I talk. I can't talk.
I don't know what you want him. I don't know what you want him to do. The dude was raised there. I don't know what you expect.
Poor dude.
I don't get it. I don't get
it. It's going to be a struggle. And we've talked about this on other episodes. How it's going to take generations of guys and gals and Americans teaching their kids this, because what's getting taught is the latter. You know, white people hate you, and you're just the same way we don't like these freaking people from that community indoctrinating our kids with this type of culture and this type of stuff. We shouldn't be doing it when it comes to race relations either, because we're indoctrinated our kids to hate. Regardless of what you want to say, I'm teaching them in history, but you only teach them the bad history. When you teach them the negative part of the history, that's what they're gonna remember. Don't you talk about the good, man? There's a lot of good stuff.
Fear dogs.
Yeah,
all pit bulls will kill you. All pit bulls will kill you. Anytime you see a pit bull, now you're afraid of dogs.
Yeah.
That was my wife. She was afraid of dogs until we had our pit bull, and all of a sudden she loved this. Like, this dog is like hers. Like, anywhere she walked, the dog behind her. Like, and now she's not afraid of the dog because she's met a dog that is not like the stuff she was told. She found out it was a lie. This dog is different. That's not what they are.
And you are going to get some black folk out there that get upset at Marlon and I for allowing two non-black people to talk on black issues and all this blah 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 stuff. They'll get over it. And
I got 1%.
But if we hit a nerve, and you're watching this and we hit a nerve, that means you're doing some reflecting. You're self-reflecting on yourself. Yep. You truly don't believe in what you believe, because we're hitting a nerve and it's making you go like, man, I'm like that. Or, man, I celebrate it for that reason. We just want you guys to think. You don't really have to believe anything we're saying. Zero. We don't care. We're going to wake up in the morning. We're going to do another podcast a day after tomorrow or Wednesday, and we're going to be talking the same crap. Don't matter to us.
Keep doing the same thing, yeah.
We're just trying to make you think. I'm just saying.
So there was a joke I meant to make earlier. it's factually true too. Did you know that people that enjoy super spicy food are just sadists?
I agree with that 100,000,000%, bro.
Because
Something
like
wrong
no,
with it.
I'm not.
legitimately biologically, you can only taste bitter and sweet. You can't actually taste heat, right? Spicy
Yeah.
is just you literally being in pain. So if you like spicy
Yeah.
food, you're
Something
a
wrong with
sadist.
you. I agree, 100%.
Well, there's bittersweet, salty.
I keep telling my wife the same thing.
There's
Something
a
wrong with
couple.
you.
There's
But
the
spicy
tongue.
is not
Yeah,
the thing.
spicy's
It's
not
you
on there.
literally just being hurt, and you like getting
Yeah.
hurt. So you're a
It
sadist.
registers as pain. It
Sadomasochist.
registers as pain.
You
in your
like
mouth.
you like pain. Put some more hot sauce on it. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy that. I do not. I don't like being in pain all the time. I like a little bit of heat, but not as much as you.
No, I don't like any heat. I like to enjoy. I don't like having a paper towel like this while I'm eating. No.
That's a
Oh,
whole
man.
other workout altogether.
It's called endorphins, bro. Come on.
No.
Yeah, that's
no,
me.
no.
Anytime I get something hot, I'm just
No,
I'm
no, I can't
drenched
do it.
afterwards.
You know, you get the same sweating feeling when you have diarrhea, right? So I'm just saying, it's neither one of them are pleasant. So I'm
Yeah,
not doing that.
You're talking. Everybody's like, you don't like heat. You're a freaking chef. You're training to be a chef. I was like, no. Even I don't care. I would never do that to my food. See, what I learned is food is an art form, and you're supposed to enjoy that art. If I'm putting my time and effort in that art, I am not going to do something that disrupts the enjoyment. This is why I don't do spice. I'm just saying.
That's why I will eat bro's food.
Yep, I don't do spice. I do
Okay, so it's a
savory.
Westerners, man.
Sweet,
Y'all
sour,
Westerners.
salty, and bitter. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are
Y'all
the only ones you can
Westerners.
actually taste.
Yeah.
No shit, Coy.
Y'all soft
Jesus.
people can't eat.
Coy's sitting here trying to tell a guy who's in. I know that already.
So
You damn Westerners.
Tuesday. Why would I say Tuesday? Wednesday. Wednesday we'll be back with another episode of the Savage Patriots. If you guys like this video, please share it as often as you can. We have another Rumble episode coming up here soon. Sooner than later. We're not going to be
Yes.
going as long as we did before because it's doing really well. So I think we might want to do it every other week.
I'm down. I love Rumble, man.
I think every other week would be a good thing.
The uncensored episodes.
The uncensored episodes seem to be flying really well.
Fancy that, huh?
Yeah,
Don't
fancy
go too
that.
uncensored, Coy.
Yeah, Coy.
Yeah, Coy.
Sorry.
We
Keep
don't want to
blaming
go
him.
that uncensored.
It's always a
super
white
hard
guy.
for me. It really
Always a
is.
white
I know
guy.
we don't want to go that uncensored. I'm down with you, bro. You know we've been homies on podcasting since 2017, but tone down a little bit. I'm saying that
tone
from
it
the
down,
heart.
It's just how I talk. I can't.
Calm down, man. Calm down. Change then, Coy. Change.
Yeah, don't
I'm
change.
trying. I try.
You know, we've been podcasting together for years. 7
Too
years.
Strong will be back tonight. We're going to be discussing a couple of things about Oprah. So don't miss that.
Oof.
So in a half hour, we'll be on with Too Strong. And then we'll be discussing some things about fathers raising daughters versus moms raising sons on the mix. And why is there a disparity as to why do we have a problem with women raising boys, but seemingly not have a problem with fathers raising daughters?
That'll be an interesting topic.
So we'll talk about that.
Let me ask you something. So if you guys talk about Oprah, you know what happened to Dave Chappelle, right? What are you talking about?
That's
Did he
okay.
just get in trouble
Y'all
for
better
that?
be
Yeah.
careful. They're going to have
Don't
you
care.
out there.
Don't care about Dave Chappelle. Whatever you say, you say.
No,
We're
I'm
gonna
just
stay true.
saying, man. I was being facetious.
That was actually a joke I was
You know,
working on
Yeah,
recently. It's
anybody
kinda
who
like
talks
that.
about Oprah, you know what
Well,
happens.
ironically, it is to do with what he said about Oprah that we're covering.
Oh,
But
Oh wow.
you know why there's not a lot of jokes of Hillary Clinton out there?
Why?
Because all the good ones are dead.
wait, is it? I heard. Now I heard.
I thought it was because most of her jokes are to die for.
Oh,
yeah, that's a good
Oh,
That's a good one.
That's a very good one.
She's really good at stabbing people in the back with a gun.
With a gun.
With a gun. Yeah.
Teaching people how to hang themselves and shoot them with a shotgun to the face. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
great.
Well, is she still kicking? You ain't heard much from her when she was in the hospital. She
was never
She has her own show, if you didn't know.
Ugh, I wouldn't
What?
watch that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't watch that Jezebel show. She's a Jezebel.
I'm good.
I
It's
just
like her
Googled.
and her daughter in some show. I don't know.
I've
Even
seen it.
worse.
I've seen it. It's great stuff. Yeah, great stuff.
Doesn't
It's
Hillary? But remember that rumor where somebody said Hillary smells bad and she smells
It's like watching
sulfur.
Lucifer. Yeah, it's like watching Lucifer.
Yeah, she's a witch. I'm telling you, she's
man.
a Jezebel spirit. That's that lizard. That's that skinwalker.
I was just gonna say it's like old lady smell. Like you
No,
know,
she's
old
a
lady
skinwalker.
smell when you're
Formaldehyde.
walking,
Camphor
and it just like
balls,
hits you.
She's a lizard person, man. I'm telling you, she's not
Formaldehyde
from this
mothballs.
earth.
That's what she smells like.
like camphor balls and sulfur.
Ugh.
Why do old ladies smell like that? You know, like
Not
I
all.
got hit with it the other
Not,
day.
no, my
in
mom
the
is old.
in the
She doesn't
Walmart and
smell
just like hit
that.
me in the face with like.
Well,
old
she's
lady
not that
smell.
old. Because mothballs, man, you know how old people put all their clothes in the drawers and they hang it in the closet and put mothballs in there, and then it gets that mothball smell. And then they use that. They still using cologne or perfume from the 1920s, and we don't use that
I
scent
guess so.
anymore. You know what I mean?
Because
They're
it's always
still
like
using.
that you know the stereotypical white lady from church, right? That's what every time it's one of them when I get hit with that smell, that old lady smell. It's like
Yeah,
old
it's the
church
perfume
lady.
they use, man.
I don't know.
I've been using this perfume. This how I got your daddy in 1945. They still make that? No, I've had it all these years. like, dang, that shit smells
Put it
like
away,
damn
Grandma.
Jim Crow
Put it away.
laws.
We joke.
How come
In
that
any
smells
case,
like your
You see
perfume
when you leave,
smells like
when you take the
segregation,
leash
mama?
off of people like Bro and Koi, you see what happened when you take the leash off? That's why you got to keep a tight leash on them, like almost choker level.
You know, Coy and I's podcast is a little different.
That's
so
what
we're
the
a little
nooch
more
is like. So if you
Yeah,
want
but that ain't
more
here.
of that,
That ain't
Yeah, I
here.
know. We got to remember
That
it
ain't
ain't
here.
here.
Sorry.
Reel it in. Reel it in.
I hijacked it.
I didn't curse though.
I didn't.
So anyway, make sure you tune in to Too Strong in the next 25 minutes now instead of a half hour because we were going on. And we will see you guys on Wednesday on another episode of The Savage Patriots. Lee?
Like, share, comment, and subscribe. We out.
Peace.